Welcome. This is Astrology Insight Now, a weekly forecast program with astrology and other ways to help you make the most of your week and to heighten confidence for daily life. It's run by Pamela Cuccinell, that's me, the astrologer, and I invite you to find out more about my work at insightoasis.com. I look forward to your joining us every week. Please share with your friends, and here we go. Week of April 27th, 2026. And for those of us that have been moving with the momentum of the new moon in Aries that happened over a week and a half ago, this is the sweep towards that full moon culmination. It doesn't mean you can't still be working on evolving, creating, making happen, but there is a really nice arc over this week. And when I talk about each day, it'll give you a sense of how to best use the timing to have things unfold in the way you would like them to unfold based on whatever it is that you're working on or bringing about, trying to make happen. So on this day, Monday the 27th, the times I give on these recordings are Eastern time zones. So depending on where you live, you have to shift that a bit. But basically, I have to work with one time zone. Otherwise, it's really hard to talk about how these things move and when they happen. So the moon is in the sign of Virgo in the early morning of, actually all day, but the early morning part that we need to be aware of is that the moon goes void of course at 7:12 a.m. And what that means is that it's not making any geometric aspects to another planet as it moves through the sky before it changes sign. And basically, what happens when the moon isn't making any connectivity in a way that is planets talking together, in my lingo, then people are not as emotionally attached to the outcome. This can look different depending on where Virgo is in your personal horoscope or someone else who you're dealing with, because when you know where the signs are in your horoscope layout, working with 12 houses that signify different areas of life, the area of life in your personal horoscope that Virgo moon is moving through in dialogue with may bring more expression to the void of course time than it would for another person. Regardless, the usual way that we work with a void of course moon, especially in a sign like Virgo, is to clean up. So organize, get some structure, put things in where they belong in a priority way, and not necessarily launch or begin anything new, because during this time we may be excited and sound like we're stimulated by something going on, but we don't really have the connection that has us pull it in the way that we want it to go. We can revisit it at another point in time, but it's not necessarily going to go as quickly or where we wanted it to. If, for instance, you finally get to connect to that fundraiser you've been trying to work with, or something that you've been wanting to pull together and haven't really made the connection yet, making the connection during a void of course moon is not necessarily going to propel you quickly to the results you want. However, aiming, putting things in place, cleaning up things that no longer serve you. That really frees you so that you can move much more decisively when that void of course is over and make things happen in a way that has that connectivity or electric spark that you need to carry something to fruition. Virgo Moon, void of course, excellent for therapeutic work. No reason you shouldn't see your regular astrologer, therapist, advisor, someone whom you regularly work with, editor. Really, really can be a very, let's roll up our sleeves and get to the task. Time to do that. Body massage, any body work, things like that. Very, very effective time because basically what happens is we have that kind of tunnel vision to stay with something already in motion that we're working to resolve. And we're not so great at this point in time with bringing in something new or getting that inspiration or the launching a new chapter. We're much, much better at working on the things we already have in process. So, an overall productive day, as long as we don't try to push something that isn't really coming together. The moon enters the sign of Libra at 5:03 a.m. on Tuesday, the 28th. And when the moon is in Libra over the next couple of days, excellent time to engage in conversations that are perhaps have a bit of tension to them because what you're doing is you're working on seeing where the differences are. On the other hand, it may also indicate that you thought everything was on the same page, but then someone does a 180 and you're not really in the sync you thought you were. The good part about these couple of days is they are really excellent, especially Tuesday. Very, very good to be focused on kind of peeling the onion, getting the revelations, especially in the morning, like digging down deeply to understand and unearth into mid-afternoon something that you've been trying to resolve or solve. Really good problem solving time. And it can come from research, from conversations with other people. It's energetically, it feels to me like the courtroom drama scene where the attorney is trying to get information out of the person on the witness stand, and everything feels very level. And then suddenly there's a sentence or a misstep or perhaps something intentional that just pivots and changes the whole way that people were seeing the drama prior to that point in time. So it's it's a great couple of days to understand better where things lie, what they really are. And sometimes what happens with that is that we're coasting along. We think, oh, everybody's on the same page. We're just booking. We're working in ways that are in real flow. Everybody's getting along. But things start to pop up and are available to us to understand in a new way when we're willing to confront them and have the difficult conversations. And as many listeners know, and I myself know, that it can look like a really great deal. You might really want to buy that property or sign that contract or make that thing happen because you want it so very much. But when information comes to the surface that hadn't prior been something that you were aware of, remember, we're in the waxing moon cycle. More light is coming in. But with the light, sometimes it can feel like a darkness because it's not really what we wanted or were hoping or thought was coming about. And yet, to have the truth presented or the information necessary to make a better decision, that is definitely bringing more light and space into the conversation. One of the things we can always be doing, regardless of whatever my forecast is or whatever I'm emphasizing, is remember every day, each of us can take a moment or more, perhaps a day, if we have the luxury of that, of meditating, joining like minds in positive perspectives and thoughts of peace and connectivity. But in order to do that really well, sometimes we have to cut through the things that we're not really willing to see, the uncomfortable conversation. And I know for me, a lot of my personal work is it's very easy to feel like certain people are the villain, and actually it doesn't only seem that way. It is a reality that human beings are doing some very villainous and um, difficult things for a person who is more lovingly centered to accept or even understand. However, to feel senses of hate and wanting the worst for that awful human being are not really the best way to energetically start to balance what's happening in the world, because the more that hate, anger, and wanting bad things for people is magnified, well, the more it happens. Whereas if we focus on a person getting that bolt of lightning that reveal, well, sometimes we might wish it's literal, but that bolt of lightning that gives them the sense of what the heck have I been doing? The turn of the soul, the sense of releasing from whatever toxicity is creating so much avarice, hate, and difficulty in the world. These days are days we can wrestle with our inner dragons to work through that and magnify and project more love. I'm not saying you have to love someone who is a absolutely heinous human being doing difficult things, but focus on what can be emphasized in areas of love and put less energy in wanting bad things to happen to that heinous human being, because that is a waste of your energy and it just magnifies more toxicity. Yes, it's human enough for us to all have that sudden eruption of, oh my gosh, just a really angry response to what's happening in the world. But we want to dampen that down and lift up with a sense of where are, as Mr. Rogers used to say, where are the helpers? Who are the people we can align ourselves with that are working for positive change? And even having those difficult conversations within the groups and the people that you trust and are working with in a way that has more to do with positive energetic growth and change, those are ways we release the negativity and move more into positive alignment. So overall, Tuesday and Wednesday, really powerful days to work with that kind of mental shift and catch ourselves when we're feeling those senses of vitriol or anger or wanting to make someone small so that we can get a sense of powerfulness. And the moon goes void, of course, at 4:52 a.m. on Thursday, the 30th. And then it's void, of course, basically all morning in, in the sign of Libra. Really good period of time, if you can do that, to just sort of chill, to just suspend whatever thought processes might be in your head. I mean, for me personally, I've talked about this before, nature is a tremendous salve for me to kind of just step away and get into a sense of connecting with the infinite, higher power, energy, God, universe, goddess, whatever you might call it, if you call it anything. But that sense of peace and overall gentleness that can in the end recreate itself. I mean, as I always say, people talk about saving the earth. If the earth decides to just jettison these pesky human beings, and there's all sorts of earth destruction, she will recreate herself, heal, and regenerate. And that is actually the greatness of this amazing planet, that we are lucky enough to be a part of its biodiversity when we step beyond the hubris that makes us think we actually control it. So the moon enters the sign of Scorpio at 3:02 p.m. on Thursday, the 30th. And this is when we're in the real dynamic energy of just whatever we might want to push forward or into in this full moon. It might be a personal growth thing. It might be very subtle within yourself, a new understanding, an epiphany, something that you've been working on pushing through or understanding in a different way, coming to terms with some sort of, well, obsession or addiction or something that feels like you're in a stuck place. Part of what gets us through that is first admitting our powerlessness to just snap our fingers and move beyond it, but also understanding what the attachment was or is for that substance, thing, person that keeps us in a place that doesn't allow us real growth. Sometimes it's as subtle as anger or a grievance or, something that a grudge. Oh my goodness. I, yes, I certainly came from a family where I was taught about what grudges can do to a person, and had to peel past a lot of my own personal grudges. And, maybe I'll be confronting some myself on this day, because sometimes it's very subtle. We don't realize how we are keeping ourselves stuck or small with ways that we see things that don't allow us a lighter way of being or the ability to break free of. And so, with that moon in Scorpio, as it approaches Pluto, which is in Aquarius now, we have the opportunity to see that. Again, full moon, waxing moon cycle. It sometimes can just be crystal clear and obvious to us. Doesn't mean we're going to take it on and do anything about it. Sometimes, when one is so attached to whatever that may be, the ease of pointing blame at another, the coworker that limits one's ability to really fly, the family member that keeps us in a certain corner of the room, whatever that projection or way that we push it out can feel like it's not sounding quite as true as it used to. And yet we can still just coast through the full moon and say, I'm too attached to this to let it go. We move and transform when it's time for us to do so. But there are always waves of opportunity that come up to allow us more ease of movement and a sense of now is the time. Whether we act on it or not is part of free will and self-determination. So on May 1st, when we're in that lovely window of Beltane, the full moon at 11 degrees Scorpio, 21 minutes, happens exactly at 1:23 p.m. Eastern Time. And once we hit that point of the day, from that point, so early afternoon on, into actually 4:47 a.m. on Saturday the 2nd, when the moon goes void of course, this is a rock solid time for us to really make right decisions. We can see things with crystal clarity, and we can step back to gain a perspective and point of view that just can be totally enlightening. You can be in mid-conversation with someone and the light bulb goes off and you think, huh, so this is what we've been talking about, or this is what we've not been talking about, or why am I even having this conversation? Or we can feel the sense of empowerment and direction that just allows us to move with grace in a decisive way. Not necessarily exactly on this day, evening, but we can get it. We can get what we're ready to become, because the moon in Scorpio can be very transformative. It can be, oh my goodness, it can be angry and it can be vengeful and it can want to totally dismantle something. But that is the framework of how things actually transform. It's really difficult to create a new orientation to how you do your job or how you do a relationship or how you look for that new relationship or how you speak to a parent or a child or a boss if you're so attached to the way it's always been. But once we feel that sloughing off, something has changed. And we might go through the motions until we're really ready to just release. So for people, especially people with their, personal planets or angles in early degrees fixed, Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, this particular full moon can feel very loaded. And it can be subtle. Nobody else may notice anything. But within the individual can be a sense of something is changing. And it may take weeks, months, years to totally see where that shift ends up. But something is changing. And because of the Jupiter alliance, it really is to greater benefit. So the moon void, of course, at 4:47 a.m. on Saturday the 2nd opens up to an entirely void, of course, moon day with the moon in Scorpio. Terrific day to research, to clear out old stuff, to recycle, to refurbish an old piece of furniture, to do things that require focus, search for those family trees, do things that allow you a sense of what am I deep diving into that needs to be done, or it could just be digging your garden and getting ready to plant the root vegetables. Sunday the 3rd, moon enters Sagittarius, 2:33 a.m. And this is a booking day. I mean, that's the fire mutable moon. It's just dancing with a lot of planetary aspects that speak about I want to move, I want to make things happen, I want to go. For people who like to hike, be in nature, exercise, terrific day for that. Also, terrific day for just opening your mind, opening other people's mind, connecting with people who you've been wanting to know better, especially anybody who maybe speaks different languages or comes from different places. It is an explorative day. So enjoy the journey. You have been listening to Astrology Insight Now. Please share with your friends. And if you'd like to make a donation, you can do so at astrologyinsightnow.com. Have a stellar week, and we hope to see you next time.